In today's lesson, we're going to solve systems of equations using the elimination method. The standard is 8EE8A and 8EE8B. The objective is to solve systems of equations using the elimination method. The essential question is, why are graphs helpful? Steps. Step number 1. Need x or y to be the same number but opposites, meaning one negative and one positive. Step number 2. Add or subtract the equations. So we're going to eliminate the variable. Step 3. Solve for the remaining variable. Step 4. Pick an equation and plug it into the answer. Step 5. Solve for the other variable. Step 6. Write your answer as a coordinate, x, y. Use this method when both equations are written in standard form. ax plus by equals c. Example number 1. I have x plus y equals 5 and x minus y equals 1. In step number 1, I'm going to multiply if needed. However, I do not need to multiply because I do have one variable, which is y, that is positive and the other one that is negative. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite my problem in step number 2, which is to eliminate. So I have x plus y equals 5 and x minus y equals 1. So I'm going to go ahead and add. I have x plus x will give me 2x. I have y minus y will cancel out. That's why we eliminate. I have 5 plus 1 will give me 6. I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 will cancel out. 6 divided by 2 will give me 3. So x equals 3. So I can put down one part of my problem, or my answer I should say, which is 3, comma something. Now I'm going to go ahead and plug in. I'm going to go ahead and take the first equation, which is x plus y equals 5. And where my x is, I'm going to plug in 3. So I have 3, and then I'm going to bring everything else down, plus y equals 5. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 3 from both sides. Three minus 3 will cancel out. I'll be left with y equals 5 minus 3 is 2. So my answer is 3, comma 2. Example 2. I have x plus 2y equals 25 and x plus y equals 15. In this example, I don't have one variable that is positive and one that is negative. So that means I need to multiply one of the equations so that way I can have one that is opposite, one being positive, one being negative. So in this case, I'm going to multiply this second equation by a negative 2. So that means I'm going to multiply and distribute here to the first term, the second term, and the third term. So I have negative 2 times x will give me a negative 2x. Negative 2 times y will give me a negative 2y. Negative 2 times 15 will give me a negative 30. Now I'm going to move on to step number 2, and I'm going to rewrite both equations. The first equation did not change, so I have x plus 2y equals 25. The second equation did change, so I'm going to rewrite the new equation. I have negative 2x minus 2y equals negative 30. So now I'm going to go ahead and add and subtract. I have x minus 2x will give me a negative x. 2y minus 2y will cancel out. 25 minus 30 will give me a negative 5. I know that there's an invisible 1 in front of the x, so I'm going to go ahead and divide the whole thing by a negative 1. So negative 1 divided by negative 1, that will cancel out. I will be left with x equals negative 5 divided by negative 1 will give me a positive 5 because negative divided by negative gives me a positive. So I know part of my answer I have 5 as my x, comma, something. Now I'm going to go ahead and plug it in to one of the equations. I'm going to plug it into the first one. I have x plus 2y equals 25. So where my x is, I'm going to plug in 5. So I have 5, and I'm going to bring down everything else, plus 2y equals 25. So what I'm going to do is subtract 5 from both sides, because I want to move my constant to the other side. 5 minus 5 will cancel out. I'm going to have 2y, that's going to come down, equals 25 minus 5 will give me 20. Now I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 will cancel out. I'll be left with y equals 20 divided by 2 will give me 10. So my answer is 5, 10. Example number 3. X plus 3y equals 5 and negative 3x minus 2y equals negative 1. In this example, I do not have one variable that is the same, with one being negative and one being positive. So what I'm going to have to do is take the whole first equation and multiply the whole thing by 3. So I'm going to distribute that 3 to the first term, to the second term, and to the third term. So 3 times x will give me 3x. 3 times 3y will give me a positive 9y. 3 times 5 will give me 15. So I'm going to rewrite both equations into the second step. So the first equation we did change, so it'll be 3x plus 9y equals 15. And then I'm going to rewrite the second equation. That one did not change. I have negative 3x minus 2y equals negative 1. Now I'm going to add and subtract. So I have 3x minus 3x will cancel out. I just eliminated. Now I have 9 minus 2y will give me 7y. And then 15 minus 1 will give me 14. So now I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 7. 7 divided by 7 will cancel out. I'll be left with y equals 14 divided by 7 will give me 2. So I know part of my answer. I have something, comma, 2, because my y equals 2. So now I'm going to plug it in to one of the two equations. I'm going to plug it into the first original equation. So I have x plus 3y equals 5. So where my y is, I'm going to plug in 2. So I have x plus 3. I'm going to multiply by 2 equals 5. So now I'm going to go ahead and bring x down. 3 times 2 gives me 6. Bring down my 5. Now I'm going to go ahead and subtract 6 from both sides. I'm going to have x. 6 take away 6 will cancel out. 5 minus 6 will give me a negative 1. So my answer is negative 1, 2. Sometimes we will have special cases. In this case, we will have no solution and the lines will become parallel. So if I were to solve, x minus x will cancel out, y minus y will cancel out. I'll be left with 0 equals 5 plus 1, which is 6. 0 does not equal 6. So in this case, a number does not equal another number. The other case is where we will have infinite solutions, where the lines will be on top of each other. So if I were to solve, x minus x will cancel out, y minus y will cancel out. I'll be left with 0 equals 8 minus 8 will give me 0. So this is where a number will equal another number.